be with us tonight, so as Vice Mayor, it is my duty to run this meeting. I will do my best since I've never done it before, so bear with me. Have sympathy as well, please. So the first item, we don't have a proclamation or recognition, so our first item is the consent agenda. All matters listed below on the consent agenda are considered under one motion and will be enacted under one motion. There will be no separate discussion on those items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. Does the commission have any items they want to remove?
I'd like to take off numbers 8 through 11.
Stuart, that's the recommendation from staff.
Yeah.
Is that item?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can elaborate on that.
Sure.
Vice Mayor. We had an inquiry regarding the applicant on consent agenda items 8 through 11, and it was brought to our attention late enough in the day that we weren't able to recommend deferral in advance of the meeting, but we would recommend deferral of those items. I think there was a question with regard to the name on the application, and this will give us time to work with the applicant to get that back before you. And I believe that Mr. McCullough had an opportunity to inform the applicant of that prior to the meeting.
Right. Tim Herndon is here on the applicant's behalf. They're in transition of changing the company name, and so once they get that put together, we will place this back on your consent agenda.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Are there any other items that the commission wants to remove? Are there any items that the public wants to remove from the consent agenda? So I would entertain a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda minus numbers 8 through 11, plus the 183 claims for a total of $3,527,237 or $237.55. I hope I said that right. That have been pulled for independent approval, but we didn't do that. So.
Mayor, why don't we go ahead and just include the deferral of items 8 through 11
Okay.
rather than having to take a separate action. And I would make that motion for approval.
Okay. All those in favor?
All right.
Anyone opposed? So motion passes unanimously. So now on to the city manager's report.
Yes, good evening, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. A couple of items to note for you this evening. One item with school around the corner is the school crossing control policy, and then also some improvements that we were doing at the request of the Indian Hills neighborhood on their school crossing project and the sidewalk project there along 27th Street. So you see a staff memo and updates on these items. There we did receive, there was a discussion at a May joint city-county school district meeting where the crossing policy was discussed briefly, and after that meeting we did receive some correspondence from USD 497 staff regarding a draft policy, and you see that there. And I think at the end of July, then we understand that the Safe Routes to School group, city staff, and the school district, they met to talk about the policy. There's going to be some additional items reporting back here in August to you. So we wanted to provide you a general update there. And then with regard to the specific projects happening in the Indian Hills neighborhood area, as you know, 31st Street is open. If you haven't had a chance to drive on that, it's really nice. And if you haven't had a chance to drive on it, the staff put together a really nice video that we've shared in social media of the roadway when it was opened. We do expect then Louisiana Street to be following here soon. I believe the date is August 19th for the opening of that that street, and then also the raised crosswalk and hawk signal there at 27th Street and Naismith Valley Park, and the sidewalk on the north side of 27th Street from Naismith Valley Park to Belhaven Street. All of that is under construction and is anticipated to be completed prior to school starting. So we wanted to let you know that we know school's right around the corner, but those things are anticipated, and Public Works staff has been diligently working on those projects since that direction was provided. The couple of other items of note, there's a report here from the Aquatics Division with Parks and Recreation on the Bookworms and Water Bugs program, and we had a record number of participants. There's some nice information attached there for you. We also received the July sales tax distribution report, and we are just a little behind our budgeted amount for year to date, but we're doing well in comparison to last year's report. And you see that itemized year to date, and then also as a percent of budget. And then finally, we have the March rental licensing and inspection report for you. And we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Diane?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we'll move on to public comment. This is public comment in terms of general nature. The public is allowed to speak to any items or issues that are not scheduled on the agenda after first being recognized. As a general practice, the Commission will not discuss or debate these items, nor will the Commission make decisions on items presented during this time. Rather, they will refer the items to staff for follow-up. Individuals are asked to come to the microphone, sign in, and state your name and address. And please address your comments and questions to the Commission. Would any member of the public like to make any public comment? Okay, well, let's move on to the regular agenda. So the public is allowed to speak to any regular agenda item or give public comment after first being recognized. Individuals are asked to come to the microphone, sign in, and state their name and address. Speakers, again, should address all comments, questions to the Commission. So the first thing on our regular agenda is conduct a public hearing to consider the vacation of the east 15 feet of the 30-foot drainage easement located on 109 Fall Ridge Lane as requested by property owner Jason Todd Construction, LLC.
Good evening. The request being made is to vacate the east 15 feet of the 30-foot drainage easement on Lot 2 over in Fall Creek Farms. It's also known as 109 Fall Ridge Lane. The owner, Jason Todd Construction, desires to do some construction in that area. Our stormwater ordinance, when it was platted, does require a 30-foot drainage easement. That's why it's 30 feet. It's not needed in this area, so we've taken a look at this, and we concur. Staff concurs with it. We've notified all the adjacent property owners within 200 feet. We've notified all the other utility companies. We've had no comments back. Matt Bond is here if you have any questions with respect to that. So your action tonight would be to open the public hearing and pending your discussion, if appropriate, then approve the order of vacation.
Any questions for staff?
Vice Mayor, make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
So motion made by Amix, seconded by Boley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So motion passes unanimous. So the public hearing is open. So do we call for public comment now for the public hearing?
Would be appropriate.
Would anyone like to speak on this item?
Vice Mayor, I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion made by Amix, seconded by Herbert. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimous. Do we bring it back for commission discussion now?
Yes.
So would the commission like to discuss the matter?
Seems like it's pretty clear cut. Seems like staff has made good recommendation on what easement we have left to be able to use. So if there's nothing else, I would make a motion to approve the vacation of the east 15 feet of the 30-foot drainage easement located on 109 Fall Ridge Lane.
So, second.
Any other discussion? So motion made by Amix, seconded by Foley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimous. So on to item number 2.
Vice Mayor, I think I can cover item number 2 and real quickly, and then if there's any additional follow-up, Brand Jimenez is here. Our understanding of this item is there was a request from Commissioner Herbert to place this on the agenda. This is, just setting the public hearing date for consideration of ordering the house at 912 Chalk Hill Court to be repaired or demolished. And I think at that hearing, we would obviously have additional information, but that's really the step that's before you this evening, and I think the interest was in case the
Yeah, my request is
owner was
made
there.
simply, I realize this is step 1, and so my request is made simply to give the owner of the property a chance to speak if they choose, and if not, we'll move it to phase 2, if that's okay with fellow commissioners.
If there's any questions, we certainly would be able to answer any of those that you might have.
Any other questions for staff? So we open the item for public comment.
Is the owner of the property present?
Well, Mayor, actually, the resolution that we have before us this evening is to set a public hearing date. So my suggestion is that we go ahead and take that action, notifying the public and the owner that this public hearing is established, and that is the appropriate time for the public comment. That's the legal deal, I guess.
Okay. Is there a motion for this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
So there's been a motion to adopt resolution number 7130, setting a public hearing date of September 22nd, 2015, pursuant to KSA 12-1750 and ETSUP. That's some Latin, I'm sorry. Thank you. To consider ordering the house at 912 Chalk Hill Court to be repaired or demolished if appropriate. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimous. This is moving too quickly.
You're doing great.
Yeah, you're doing wonderful.
No, stop now.
Thanks,
All right.
Brian.
Item number 3 on the agenda. Consider adopting on second and final reading ordinance number 9146, approving and appropriating the 2016 City of Lawrence operating and capital improvement budget.
If I may, Vice Mayor. After last week's City Commission meetings, some citizens voiced concerns about the process we went through to add an additional $100,000 to the 2016 budget for transitional housing assistance. The City Commission discussed this issue on July 21st, and I expressed my interest in adding the amount into the budget at that time. Information on the transitional housing program was also included as part of the standard agenda process through an agenda update on August 4 and was available via the city's website and email distribution list. Before the public hearing on the budget on August 4th, I mentioned that I had something to add and was asked by the Commission and staff to hold the item until later in the meeting. I believe that the process we followed on August 4th was appropriate. However, due to the concerns expressed after our last meeting, I requested that the second reading of the ordinance become a regular agenda item, and I welcome all citizens' comments on our 2016 budget.
Any other commission discussion or questions for staff? So I'd open up to public comment. Any public comment on this item? And I'll close public comment.
Okay.
Bring it back to the commission.
Yeah, the item that we had talked about that Commissioner Bowley brought up last week is, I think that we need to have a little bit of discussion about, procedure on the use of that money, because I do know that we had concerns, as Shannon brought up last week. We can put stipulations on what we think or how the money, if somebody has a job or, what level of assistance that we may give. It seems to me that rather than giving, my commitment here is to help. I want everybody to understand that. But where we are right now in this process is being able to have a plan of some kind, rather than just signing over $100,000 to the Housing Authority. Let's have some kind of plan in place, and we can approve the final expenditure sometime in December if we want. But that gives us the time to get that program in place on what it's going to look like and what that's going to be. And I don't mind doing that. Plus, it does one other thing, and I think it's important that we have this discussion, since it's been brought up many times, with another group, and that is the money that's available in the Housing Trust Fund. I think that we need to be contacting Justice Matters and say, where are we in this process, and get some kind of idea as to where they are and what is their plan going to look like, and that gives more than enough time that I think that we can get at least some kind of feedback on that also.
Okay, Mike, my understanding is what we said was we were going to put $100,000 into the Housing Trust Fund in January of 2016.
But what I want it to be understood is we're going to put it in there, but we're going to be waiting on that fine. We're just not transferring the money on January 2nd without having some kind of idea on how it's to be used.
Exactly.
Okay, because I can't do that, Stuart. I want you to know that.
No, I mean, we need to agree on how it's going to be used.
Okay, yeah. And
I want the money in the budget so then we can agree on how it's going to be used.
And that's fine. We transferred it from, the savings account, if you will, and the fund balance, and placed it in the Housing Trust Fund. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page, that a plan will be put in place on our expectations of how that expenditure is going to be by the Housing Authority.
I agree completely.
Okay.
And Commissioner Amex and I had talked after the meeting, and we'd expressed some interest in placing some regulations on, we'll just call it like a limitation on amount per bedroom expenditure. The idea being to maximize that $100,000. I'm a little bit weary of the notion of using that $100,000 for the benefit of only 3 families or 4 families.
We want to make a good program.
I'm all in on that, and I just want to make sure that the plan that comes before us has regulations in place to make sure that the money that is being spent can maximize the number of families affected, so we don't end up spending $100,000 to house 3 people for 2 years, because that's just not a good use.
Yeah, I want a program that everybody can support on the commission.
Then it sounds like we're pretty much all on the same page. Okay.
And Commissioner Bully, I want to thank you for your comments at the start. I really appreciate you reopening it tonight. I think I don't think you had any ill intention whatsoever, and so I appreciate you bringing it back tonight. It's real important that we always give as much opportunity as we can. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Matt.
Any public comment on that item in particular? Any other?
Good evening. Commissioners, I want to thank you.
State your name.
Excuse me. I'm the Reverend Matthew Sturdivant from First Baptist Church. I live at 3732 Overland Drive. And I'm here tonight representing the 21 partnering congregations of Justice Matters. As I hear the conversation that has happened tonight, I just want to speak a word about what Justice Matters is prioritizing and how we'd like to move forward. I want to first begin with saying thank you. Thank you to all of you for your participation in last month's conference that we had here with Tenants to Homeowners. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being a part of an important conversation as we continue to do work that is critical in finding the message and finding the purpose as we move forward. Your participation was crucial. As well, I do want to say a special word of thanks to Commissioner Boley, also to Shannon Alvery of the Housing Authority. Thank you all for your work in these last weeks to continue to bring affordable housing to Lawrence. As a pastor and somebody who consistently has to look in the eye a senior adult who just doesn't have anywhere to go, or a woman who's fleeing an abuser who simply cannot find a place to live in Lawrence. Thank you. Thank you for making those conversations easier. And of course, thank you for making their lives easier. The first message I share loud and clear is thank you to all of you for your work. Meanwhile, a second message tonight is this: let's just keep it up. Let's keep up the work to build an affordable housing trust fund. one that will be sustainable, one that will find a consistent revenue source that allows for funds to be leveraged and then used by builders and organizations to continue to build affordable housing here in Lawrence. Let's keep up that work to form an advisory board that's a good steward of those resources, one that has the best interests in heart of those who need the housing most. And of course, let's keep up the good work of generating broad public support for affordable housing. For our part, we've been working hard, sitting down with those employers and representatives of corporate and business interests over these last few months to share our ideas. And for the most part, they get it. They're struggling to hire and to keep a workforce here in town in face of an incredibly high turnover caused by the lack of affordable housing. When their employees come and say, I'd love to keep working for you, I just can't afford to keep living in Lawrence. Employers understand. Also, to build that support, we've been creating video to share with hundreds of individuals in our current upcoming House meeting process. A video that's going to share kind of from the mouth of those who are in the middle of the waiting list process, what it's like to wait and where they have to find places to sleep in the midst of that process. And of course, the linchpin of the creation of public support is the wise use of these funds available in order to create a demonstration project that will show our community what creative and effective options there are for housing that is sustainable, housing that is affordable. So last month's conference with tenants to homeowners hopefully got those creative juices flowing and continued the conversation. So let's keep it up, keep up the good work toward more affordable housing and a more just Lawrence. Thank you all for your work.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Esteemed Commissioners, good evening.
State your name for the record.
My name is Mike Wazakowski, and I live at 1424 Anthony Michael Drive. I moved here about 8 years ago to study computer science at the University of Kansas. And after graduating with my master's degree, I earned a job offer from an Army agency up in Fort Leavenworth as an analyst there. And our mission at this agency is to provide senior leaders decision support when they face challenges in equipping, training, and organizing the Army. So they come to us with problems. And collectively, we build a team that works together with the stakeholders to hone down the problem statement. We come up with a study plan, consult with subject matter experts, and execute analyses to gain insights into the problem. Finally, when that's all done, we boil down our results to a set of recommendations on how we can best make the Army the best that it can be. And finally, we effectively communicate the so what of our results to senior leaders so that they know what we understand about the problem and they know why our recommendations are the best way to go forward. And generally speaking, they take our advice because we're credible and reliable. I've grown to love Lawrence, Kansas, and now consider it my home. And I want to do what I can to make it a better place to live. And that's why I'm here today. I've noticed that we currently face an issue with our transit policy in the city. I know we have a pretty well-used public transit system here. From what I've seen on ridership, we currently rank somewhere in the top 40 in the country and actually first in the state for the most used transit system. So that's a great thing, but we need to continue that and grow it. And we currently have some issues, specifically that you guys, the commissioners, have recently voted down the Transit Department's proposal to build a hub at 21st and Iowa. And we also face, in the near-term future, a potential lapse in funding since the transit tax will need to be revoted on. So those factors, to me, it seems like the community's vision for the future of public transit in the city is kind of cloudy. And I'd like to help you guys with that. I'd like to break up those clouds and help you come up with a plan to take the city's transit system in the next decade. I am open for any questions that you have now.
We can sign you up, right?
I'm happy to volunteer and help out, sir.
Well, that's great. We look forward, and we appreciate citizens stepping forward and want to help in any of the, the departments that we have. I know Diane be glad to visit with you, and in any way that that you can be of service, we would appreciate.
Thank you.
When is the next Transit Advisory Board meeting? Because the public is invited to attend those
Okay.
advisory meetings.
I could certainly follow up with you on the schedule of that group and their function and that kind of thing as well. So perhaps I can catch you after the meeting and
Okay.
get your contact.
Are there any
information.
other advisory groups we have related to public transit? I mean, we have the NPO. Is that city transit or just regional?
MPO is more regional, but no, I think the timing of this is good, given, like you mentioned, our potential financial situation with public transit, with the expiration of the sales tax. We really do need to kind of hone down and figure out a game plan moving forward. So any assistance, I know you have quite a background with data analysis and to offer your services to the city. I truly appreciate. So thank you for that.
Of course.
And it's never early enough to start that process, and being able to work that out would be good. So,
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Any other public comment on the budget? Well, I would entertain a motion to adopt on second and final reading ordinance number 9146, approving and appropriating the 2016 City of Lawrence operating and capital improvement budget.
so moved.
Second.
So motion made by Amix, seconded by Herbert. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. So on to future agenda items.
Well, you have a couple of busy meetings here coming up, Commissioners. Next week's meeting, we have a number of items listed here for you. One of the things, the concept study for Castle Drive, Bob Billings Parkway to 6th Street, reconstruction and geometric improvements, and just sharing with you the results of the meeting that we held with the public, also just getting your direction on that project as it is coming forward. And then we have a staff memo there on the applicability of the property maintenance code, and that was an item that you all had discussed a couple of months ago and had requested staff put together a memo there. There's also an item here to execute agreements with Lawrence Memorial Hospital for sponsor area and lease space within Sports Pavilion Lawrence. So we'll have that item coming before you, a Grant Township agreement for fire medical services. That's a renewal of our current agreement with them. And then we have a couple of planning items there for you, and a staff memo related to zoning options in the East Lawrence neighborhood. That was another item that you all had requested. And the consultants will be here for the citywide cultural plan to make a brief presentation to you all on their recommendations in that final plan. We also have an item for you on the North Lawrence Improvement Association request to review the RS5 zone areas in the North Lawrence.
We can do that next year.
I don't know. I think there was.
We ought to
some
wait till
desire
the pump
to take
station
that
gets
up.
done first.
So staff has been busy with some of these items here, preparing these memos for you. And then upcoming for August 25th, you can see we also have quite a number of items there. So busy time of the year, and now that kind of budget is behind us, happy to answer any questions that you have on that.
Any questions for staff?
I thought after budget was done, it kind of calmed down.
Sometimes, just busy.
Okay.
Any other questions for staff?
Vice Mayor, were we going to hold an
Yeah, we got
executive session this
commission
evening?
items, and we're going to bring it up under that.
Terrific. Sorry, jumping the gun.
So the commission was looking to have an executive session. Should I go ahead and read the statement now?
It'd be appropriate if you all would wish to do that for someone to make a motion, if you wish to.
Just a question,
Yes.
clarification. It's an item that has not been advertised,
Correct.
so we can do that?
You can do that.
Okay.
Well, I have it in front of me, so I'm happy to make the motion and read it.
It's fine.
Consider a motion to recess into executive session for approximately 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
30 minutes for the purpose of consultation with attorneys for the city deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship. Justification for the executive session is to keep attorney-client matters confidential at this time. City Commission will resume its regular meeting in the commission room immediately following the executive session.
Move approval.
Second.
Amix moves to approve. Herbert seconds. The motion to approve motion to recess into executive session for approximately 30 minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimous. So we'll be back in half an hour. So we're back from executive session. There's nothing to report. So we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the calendar. Oh, I'm sorry. Were there any other commission items that you would like to discuss? Okay, so then we'll move on to the meeting calendar and the meeting list.
So next week, we got 9th Street Corridor.
There's two joint meetings here. Oh, I see, Topic West Leg of K-10. And then there's a joint City-County USD meeting before that, August 24th. So I guess just you guys update what the topic is when it comes up.
I'll
The 24th, we're going to need an agenda from the county and the school district.
We're hosting that one, aren't we?
Is that ours?
I don't know that it was ours, but I will check with the others to double check about that. I know last time, I think all the mayor and the chair of the county commission and the school board president got together to kind of talk about the agenda, so I'm not sure if that's happened, but I will double check and find out where that's at.
Okay.
Did want to draw your attention to the city employee barbecue that we're having Saturday, August the 15th from 4 to 6 at Buford Watson Park. So if you can attend that, you all are very welcome to do so.
It's also a pool party, so feel free to wear your suit.
There you go.
Take your dip.
Done.
Is that on our calendar?
It is about the third item down there.
City Employee Barbecue.
Oh, okay. I was looking
It's
on
on
the
the
calendar. I
list.
wasn't looking on the list.
Okay.
I'm going to do everything I can to be there for that.
Yeah.
At least early on, I've got an entire family. We got August birthdays galore. So
It's a busy time of year, which you understand.
Bring them.
Yeah, I
I
should,
think half
you know.
the Amex family is city employees.
family.
Are there any other items?
Make a motion to adjourn. Thank you very much for your leadership tonight.
Second.
Very well done.
Thank you. Motion made by Amix, seconded by Boley to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimous. Thank you.
See ya.